Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to our first episode of this year's Halloweek. I tried it last year. I think it went pretty well. This year I got some more spooky topics to discuss, and today's spooky topic is going to go in somewhat of an interesting and different direction. We're going to be talking about childhood trauma. And no, not the kind of childhood trauma where your dad beats you or whatever. I'm just talking about things that scared the living shit out of me. These are the things that freaked you out so much when you were little that you forced them into the back of your mind, and whenever you see them later in life, your inner child gets triggered. Here's a short list of some of the things that scared me shitless when I was little. Some of these aren't so scary now as they would be to a kid. Others I still refuse to look at. Without further ado, let's start Halloweek with my list of things that gave me childhood trauma. The first thing on my list is a short story from the book series Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Now, I'm sure if one of you rascals got your hands on one of these in a scholastic book fair when you were little, it probably petrified you in one way or another. For some people, it was Harold. For some people, it was the Big Toe. But for some reason, the story that freaked me out the most was the little black dog. Perhaps it was the illustration that freaked me out, but the story basically goes like this. There's an old man that complains about a black dog that follows him around, but nobody else sees the dog. The story then goes on to explain how when the old man was younger, he had a feud with some other dude who he shot, and after he shot him, the person's little black dog ran up to him and started licking the dead man's face, and he shot the dog too. And then this ghostly black dog started following him around for the rest of his life and tormenting him. And one day, the old man was found dead of unknown causes, but he smelled like a dog and there were little black dog furs on him. Now, in retrospect, this story's actually kind of a good revenge story. You kind of root for the dog because who kills a little black dog? But the idea of a ghost dog following you around, especially a black one, freaked me the hell out. Perhaps it also could have been the illustration, but who knows? The second thing on my list is a movie called Ernest Scared Stupid. Now, this is just a really campy, childish movie from the 90s, following some idiot who gets himself into shenanigans with kids. And watching it now, it is not nearly as frightening as I thought it was at the time. But the monster in this movie really creeped me out. Basically, there was this troll thing that they summoned somehow, and the troll would eat children and trap their souls. And I thought the creature itself was just really weird and creepy, the way he looked and the way he walked. But there's one scene in particular that really stuck with me, and that's this one.
Oh, Snuffies, it's just you.
It's not hard to see why this would scare a kid shitless. Imagine laying in your bed, you think you're fine, you turn around and there's this giant monster just staring right at you. Yeah, it's safe to say I could not sleep after watching that stupid movie. The next thing on my list is a sequence from the sequel to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Now, I had completely forgot about this movie for about 15 years or so. And then a couple years ago, it came on Netflix, and I decided to watch it after watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And the first thing I want to say is I think this is actually a great sequel, and I actually prefer it to the first one. But there's one sequence in this movie that stuck with me when I was a kid that I didn't even realize until I rewatched it. I thought that this scene I literally had just dreamt about when I was a kid. I remember traces of it, but this scene was the root of so many nightmares I had as a kid, and I just thought that's all it was just nightmares I had. I had no idea that it all came back to this film. And when I saw this scene for the first time in God knows how many years, it was so weird. It was the weirdest feeling. It was like seeing a dream projected onto the screen. That rhymed. It was so familiar, and I was like, Where do I know this from? I must have seen it on TV or something when I was little, because that stuff came back to me. But anyways, I should probably tell you what that scene is. And if you've seen the movie, chances are you probably already know. So basically what happens in the movie is Bill and Ted die, and then at one point they go to hell. And Bill and Ted each have their own individual hell accustomed to their lives, I guess. And Bill's is pretty creepy with the grandma, but Ted's is the one that really stuck with me. This freaking evil pink Easter bunny. I don't know what it was, but seeing that thing chase him down was scary as hell. And just the way it talked and the weird trippy scenery and the way the set is built so it's all kind of a big forced perspective mess. It's super dreamlike and terrifying and weird. Today I really appreciate it and it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, but it gave me so many weird dreams and nightmares when I was a kid, and seeing it again after so many years was like reliving a traumatic experience. This next one is from the original Tomb Raider 2 video game from, I believe, 1994, 1996, something like that. But anyways, I used to play it on PC. And you're probably asking yourself, what in Tomb Raider 2 can possibly scare a child? And it's probably not what you think it would be. You want to know what it was? It was the freaking butler. Yes, that's right. In Lara Croft's house, the butler dude that follows you around no matter where you go scared me. Not only did he have this weird gaunt face that was kind of creepy in its own right, but there was literally no escaping this guy. He would follow you around the house no matter where you went, and it just creeped me out. I believe one of the ways that you could escape him was going into the attic, but the attic was like super dark and creepy in its own right, so you didn't know if he was up there with you or not, which made it even worse. Later on, I found out that you can actually get rid of him by trapping him in the freezer, but I didn't know that when I was a kid, and I wish I did, because that dude was just creepy. This next thing is from the game Pokemon Diamond for the Nintendo DS. In this game, there was an old deserted mansion in the middle of the woods that you can find, and it was very creepy and unsettling already. When you went in, it was very creepy and Victorian, and there was nobody else there, and you would only basically run into ghost-type Pokemon. So yeah, it was a creepy place already. But the creepiest thing was I remember there were kids talking about legends of these ghosts that you can see in the mansion at certain times at night. I think it was like between 2 and 3 a.m. you would see the ghost of a little girl and an old man. I never actually found them myself, one because I was too scared and two because I couldn't stay up that late. But if you look it up on YouTube, there actually is a little girl and an old man that you can find at a certain time at night. These ghosts were real, and it just creeped me the hell out. And these things are especially creepy when these games are supposed to be happy and bright. Those legends freaked me out, and so did the mansion itself. I believe it was called the Old Chateau. Next on my list is an old Disney VHS tape from God knows however long ago, but I watched it when I was maybe 3 years old or so. It was like a Disney World sing-along kind of thing, and there was one sing-along song in the tape that really freaked me out for some reason, and that was the Grim Grinning Ghosts song. Not only did I find the song creepy, but the costumes and the trees, the way the trees moved was really weird. The witch was really creepy from Snow White. The giant coyote thing. I would always have to sit across the room and watch it because I didn't want to sit too close to the television. Again, not as creepy by my standards today, but looking at it now, it still kind of gives me that feeling due to the feeling I had when I was little. And finally, I'm not even going to show you this one or talk about it all that much, but this video, you know the one. You know this video. If you look at this picture and you get triggered, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's all I have to say. Well, that about wraps up our first episode of this year's Halloweek. Make sure you listen to my new Halloween album, Halloween 4. It's out now, and I look forward to making more of these for the rest of the week.